Hi everyone, it's time for the June garden tour. Before we begin the tour, I'm just going to start off by saying that I do grow in Zone 7A in Spotsylvania, Virginia. And this is my 4th year gardening on this property. So a lot of the spaces that you're going to see are a little more immature than other spaces, but it's a work in progress as it always will be. And yeah, I am hosting a garden party this weekend. So in anticipation of that, I have been busting my butt the last 2-3 weeks getting everything as tip-top and buttoned up as I can. So the yard is looking, dare I say, the best it's ever been. So let's go enjoy it. This time we're going to start in the shade garden and work our way around the house in a clockwise fashion just to get a little different perspective here. So here in this area we have the coneflowers starting to open up here. These are called the raspberry beret. These are a really beautiful coneflower. Unfortunately, I have been dealing with a lot of rosette mites on most of my double coneflowers, which is really unfortunate, but this entire group, I've had to deadhead quite a few of the buds and bloom stalks off of these just to prevent the rosette mites from spreading to the other buds and blooms. We have the limelights just starting to develop a little bit more. No real definite blooms just yet, but they're starting at least. And we can see through there that the summer crush hydrangea is now in full bloom. One of my absolute favorites. And I don't know if you can hear the little squeaky noises, but we have a tiny little bird nest in that arborvitae. See the little babies in there? I think it's a little sparrow in there, but she's made a little nest, which is exciting. All of the impatiens that I've planted around the house are still looking kind of the same size. They haven't really beefed up at all, which is disappointing, but I guess as soon as they get their act together, maybe we'll get to see some of those soon. Limelights over here. Again, these ones don't get full sun. They're more of like a part sun over here, so they don't perform as well as the ones I just showed you, but they still put on a pretty decent show over here. And let's admire these for just a second. These heucheras are the carnival watermelon. They have lots of different oranges and red tones in here, but they are extremely pretty when they're backlit by the sun, aren't they? Yeah, I love that. I did add in 3 new hydrangeas in here in the past 2 or 3 weeks. These ones are called the Painter's Palette. Unfortunately, I don't have any good blooms to show you. I purchased them when they were pretty much in full bloom, but they do have an array of colors on the the skirt petals usually have a pink, white, and green streak through them, and then the center is a purpley blue color. But next year we'll get to see a better show. I think these get about 4 feet tall and wide, so they're just going to fill out that little section right there and look really nice. And here's our mystery hydrangea. That's the one that was sort of that gifty one. You can see the colors in here. We got some pinks and blues and purples, just an unknown variety that I got for around Mother's Day or Easter, just as a gifty one. She looks pretty. And the Invincible wee whites are still blooming pretty well. I still am undecided about how I like these ones. I'm going to give them a full year in the ground before I judge them too hard, but so far they're pretty nice. And then over here is the clethra, ruby spice clethra, that I had recently transplanted, and it's taken to its new spot very nicely. You can see lots of new bloom spikes beginning to form here, so hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll start to see that flower, and then she'll just take over the show in this corner. A couple of stilbes blooming here. I did add in a couple of blue hostas under the rhododendron, and again, like right underneath the summer crush hydrangea. Hopefully next year those just grow together and be one big mass, and they'll look beautiful. Still have quite a few like open areas throughout, well, this garden for sure, but most of the other gardens have a lot of open spaces that I haven't quite figured out what I'm gonna fill yet. So if you have ideas, let me know. This one here was an unknown variety, but I did see one that looked very similar to her at a nursery, and it was called Sister Teresa. So I'm wondering if that's what this one might be. But she looks just absolutely stunning. Burgundy Glow Ajuga. Looks dynamite. And I did add a couple new plantings to this corner here. These astilbes are called Delft Pink, and they do have a little bit of a darker foliage to them, kind of like it's kind of purpley color, but a beautiful contrast against the silvery color from the Brunnera. I think that looks really nice. And then behind there is a rhododendron. And the name of this rhododendron is Catabians Bersalt, I believe. I believe it's a fairly common one. Just your typical like purplish pink color. It may even be the same one, same variety of the rhododendron that we have way down there. But I really don't know. But this will eventually be 5 to 7 feet tall and wide. So in time, she will fill out all the way to the foundation here and out to the skirt here a little bit. I'll probably have to remove these two astilbes and find them a new place as this one gets a little bit bigger, but that won't be a problem. And I would really very much love to have a tree right here on the corner. And for a long time I thought like definitely I want to have an evergreen conifer, just a nice tall feature right here. But this is the side of the house that doesn't get a whole lot of sun, and I know most of the evergreen conifers like to have full sun, so I'm really not sure what I can get away with here. I know hemlocks do okay. I already have one gold duke over there, so I'm not sure if there's any other options, but I may just have to opt for another Japanese maple, but we'll see. And then in time, I do intend on putting 3 more hydrangeas back here, and those would have to be a variety that really does love the shade, because that is some deep shade back there. I did get my flagstone path set down, so it's all secured in here. And all of these shade plants are looking really great. Look at our frozen margarita Hosta here. Love this leaf especially. Everything's looking really good. I still have to set my post in the ground because I am going to get another hose reel in place of the existing hose that I have. And let's talk about these hydrangeas real quick. This is the front of our house, which is supposed to be, you know, welcoming, formal, uniform, symmetrical, all that stuff. I'm just not loving these hydrangeas. These are the bloom-struck hydrangeas, and they sort of like get to this phase every year around the same time, and they just get you know, the leaf spot, which I know is probably from the overhead water that they get from the sprinklers, but also they end up flopping and they just don't look that tidy up here. So I think I might be swapping those out for a different variety next year. Impatiens are still looking so tiny. This euphorbia is, this is probably my best Ascot rainbow euphorbia. The happiest spot for it, but it just, I mean, I cut it back 2 months ago and it's just came right back. Looks amazing. This section is relatively new also. I did spend a little bit of time forcing myself to just get something in the ground out here. I did pick up some more of the pink perfusion salvia. This was on clearance at Lowe's. And the plants at the time did not look good. They had nothing but just spent blooms on them, but these are really wonderful plants. You can literally cut them back and then they rebloom. And then when they need to be deadheaded again, you deadhead them and they rebloom. And I believe these were the perennial of the year in 2022 or 3. Doesn't matter. Any perennial that's awarded perennial of the year is a good addition to your garden. And these will only get bigger and better next year. There's also a butterfly candy butterfly bush there, just a dwarf one. I believe that only gets 3 feet tall and wide. I did add another lollipop Verbena bonariensis over here. I love the original one that I had in this garden so much, I just had to get more. The pollinators love it too. How great this looks with the Kismet raspberry coneflowers and the Casablanca lilies in the back. It's a wonderful little spot here. All right, let me just finish up this corner really quick. We have the clump of liatris over here that is, well, some of them are starting to bloom in the back. But when these go off, these are such a statement in the garden. I was really hoping they would be here for the party, but you know, Mother Nature's got her own time. These coneflowers are the Sombrero Sangarita, and they were actually planted over by the maple to my left. But that entire area was invaded by voles or moles, I really don't know, and they were really disrupting this plant, so I decided I gotta dig them out and save them, put them in a pot until I figure out what to do with that area. And this is a dwarf variety of delphiniums. Really pretty. I thought because they were dwarf, they might not be prone to flopping, but unfortunately they still flop. This one in particular is kind of split right in the middle. And I have it sort of supported by this dahlia grow bag. But still very pretty flowers. I just wish that they could stand on their own. And this is a purple smoke bush. I believe it's called Lilia. Really pretty foliage on that. And this is a daylily that is called Salome Peony Display. I have actually had this daylily for 3 years and it has never bloomed. This is the first year. Finally get to see these things bloom. I've been spraying this with the liquid fence almost every night just to be sure I can actually see these blooms finally. This is a Dusty Miller that overwintered from last year. Usually these are annuals for us and they don't make it through the winter, but this one did. I think I have 2 other ones that did also. A little surprise there. And this is a variegated hibiscus or Rose of Sharon. I honestly forget. It's supposed to have some pink flowers, so we'll get to see those soon. My lilac, my bloomerang lilac, completely out of control. Yeah, I think I might remove that, put it somewhere else, and try something else in this space that's a little more formal and kept looking. And over here we can see some of the butterfly weed blooming. Here, there's another daylily here about to start blooming soon. And the butterfly kisses coneflowers. These ones are really pretty when they actually look right. This is another double coneflower that is struggling with the rosette mites pretty bad. I've had to deadhead quite a few buds off of this, but this is just an example. You know, those little tiny rosette mites, you can't really see them with your eye, but they will distort your blooms. You'll have missing petals or distorted centers, cones, whatever. And this is actually what it looks like in the beginning phases. Sort of get like that weird like redness in there. And the spines in the cone are not symmetrical. No. It's not going to kill your plant, but it definitely affects your aesthetic qualities of the plant, which is why we buy these fancy ones. Here is the bubble bath allium blooming. It's all right. I definitely prefer my serendipities. Those are my faves. All right, and then in this space, I have some dahlias that I did plant in the ground. Hopefully they're okay with all the vole and mole activity I've had in the space. A couple others in grow bags here. Still waiting on the gladiolus to bloom for us. These are the Montegordo, I believe. Hopefully those make it to blooming too, because I'm sure the voles would just love to get their hands on those bulbs. And these are the double scoop bubblegum coneflowers. These ones actually have been fairly resistant to the rosette mites. They're looking pretty darn good. These ones usually just get so top heavy because those blooms are so huge. Their stems can't support that weight and they end up just toppling over. Little hottie. Just beginning to bloom here. And of course, this time of year, our daisy mays are just looking amazing. Daisies are kind of a classic, basic, common flower, but there's something about them that's just so charming. Ageratum, getting a little bit bigger. And here are some of the serendipity alliums. I have several groupings of these throughout the garden, but they are loved by all of the pollinators, including butterflies. And my veranda cream rose decided to put on another show for us. Really sweet little blooms on her. Of course, our lovely Kismet raspberries. This is the Granada Gold coneflower. I did move this from another location because it was under attack by the voles, so I had to dig it up and put it in a root guard, and I decided just to move it over here. And there it is. Ogon spirea. This is the Royal Candles Veronica. Some more of the Daisy Maze. I think this group is the one that looks the best right now. It's beautiful. This is the variegated obedience plant. These usually don't start to bloom until later in the year, so we'll look forward to seeing those at a different time. And this is where my stargazer lilies were. All out of bloom now, but they were absolutely stunning when they were in bloom. I'm so happy I got to see those. And I have a St. John's wort right here. I did prune it back after it was done blooming because it was really just engulfing all these perennials around it. So I just trimmed it back to allow, the coneflowers around here, and there's some bee balm in the front too, just to have a little more breathing room. But these coneflowers are the ruby giants, and they haven't quite started their show. You can see an example, but this isn't like the best example. They're kind of a traditional color, a little bit bigger, and I believe their petals are a little more horizontal. Another swoop of the ageratum here. I'm really hoping that these beef up and just become like a small little annual hedge in the front. And we have lots of buds coming from the mighty chestnut. This will be a beautiful orange color. Look down our path here. We have the serendipity alliums on this side of the pathway leading you down. This is a Rheingold arborvitae. Oh, let me get out of the sun here. And look at our Joe Pye weed. I swear, every time I film, it grows a foot. So I think it's probably at least 4 feet tall now. And I did see some buds developing on it, so might be blooming in the next month, maybe? A couple more dahlias and grow bags. Over here we have the cherry truffle heucheras. Again, they look so pretty when they're backlit by the sun. Summer crush hydrangea. This area gets blasted with the really brutal hot afternoon sun, only for like an hour, but boy do these macrophyllus just look pathetic in the afternoon. They are just looking a little rough. Serendipity alliums. We have the firelight tidbits. These ones on this side of the driveway are just starting to form buds. They haven't yet started blooming. We have another pugster butterfly bush. This one is the amethyst. You can just see some of that color starting in here. Some of the Joe Pye weed buds starting in here. Golden Jubilee hyssop. These coneflowers here are called One in a Melon. And I do not know what is going on with these petals, but they're all kind of coming out all wonky like this. Like every single one is like unfurling. And I do have some damage from Japanese beetles. There's one right there. Gosh darn it. They just chew all the petals out of here. I don't know what's going on with the what's affecting them from unfurling properly, but otherwise they look healthy. Sensation pink coneflowers. These are definitely one of my favorites. They're just so vibrant and sweet. Beautiful chocolate center. And these ones rank really high on the Mount Heliceti list. I think these have a really high nectar count, so your pollinators will just go crazy for these. One of my fall mums is blooming. That's not the right color for this time of year. And I think this is a sun sparkler dazzleberry sedum. Beautiful purple foliage. Looks like it's going to try to bloom soon. And it's planted with an Everest sedge, which truly would love to be in a little more shade. But I guess she's doing okay. And here we have the Glamour Girl Phlox, which is such an intensely bright, hot pink color. I think it plays nice with most colors. However, I don't think it looks that great with the Kismet raspberries. I think those colors kind of clash a little bit. But she is really pretty. And these newer varieties don't have, they don't get powdery mildew. I've never had powdery mildew on this one, at least. This is a chrysalis blue butterfly bush, and this thing will absolutely just fill in this entire section here. Here's a closer shot of the Casablanca lily. And here's another daylily that's blooming. This one was listed as strawberry candy, and I wasn't ever sure that that's what it was. It might be, but someone else mentioned it could be called strawberry custard. But beautiful nonetheless. And then we have our little group of supreme cantaloupe coneflowers. This one here is obviously the oldest bloom that I have, so you can see they kind of wash out to like a faded pink color. I still think they look really pretty when they're in that phase, but these are some newer blooms, and these truly are just like the color of a cantaloupe. Really beautiful. And these ones have not had any issues with the rosette mite, so I'm really happy that some of my double coneflowers still look decent. This beautiful artemisia in the front. This particular plant absolutely loves this spot. It never like flaps open in the center, it just always looks like a perfect little mound here. And this is another daylily called Pardon Me. I'm filming this a little bit later in the day, but usually the red is a little more intense than it's showing in the camera right now. And then this section here, this is the section that has just been under attack from moles and voles. I don't know what else, but it's just had a really rough time. I've had to remove plants temporarily just to rehab them. You can even look at look at the petals on this particular plant. See how they're sort of curled in and wilted? Meanwhile, this other plant looks completely fine. I have a feeling that this plant is currently being eaten by a vole. I'll have to get on there and save that soon. And then this area has always been such a challenge for me. I don't love this area. It is a ditch, and it's difficult to get down in there. And I don't really know what to plant because this is like a easement, so there has to be like open areas for water to flow through here. But anyway, some wildflowers, some wild black-eyed Susans found their way in here, and they've just reseeded themselves year after year, so we've just kind of let them be in here. I did plant in the Russian sage. There's also some coneflowers, some heliopsis, and some milkweed, swamp milkweed that I moved from the backyard out here. And you know what? It all works. This is all just a wild micro-meadow over here, and the pollinators like it. And no one can really see it except us and our neighbors here. I don't think they mind. Miss Violet butterfly bush in the back there with a dark purple. Another chrysalis blue butterfly bush in the front here. Some bee balm. I mean, I think she's past her prime. She's still in full bloom, but just a little bit beyond. Give us one rainstorm and all those petals are coming out, but what a show this is. Pollinators really love this. And our milkweed, beautiful orange milkweed. And some more of the Royal Candles Veronica in here. Looks pretty nice still. And the Rockin' Fuchsia annual salvia that somehow made it through the winter and literally came back like 3 or 4 times larger than it did last year. So I'm super happy about that. Planted in a couple of the zinnias over here too, so they're just getting started, but they'll beef up soon. 2 more dahlias back here. Wish I could tell you the names, but I forgot. And check out the betony. You guys see all the pollinators on these? This is wild. There are literally so many bees right here. This is why I love gardening. I just love seeing all these little creatures out here. Enjoying all this. Some more ageratum. This coneflower is the rainbow. Oh gosh, I forget the name. But this also has rosette mites in the center. You can see the distortion in the cone. And yes, this is rosette mites, not aster yellows. Unfortunate. All right, and then down here, this is my rose, one of the 3 roses that I got this year. This one's called Queen of Sweden. It's just a little guy right now. It's first year in the ground, so let's give him a break. But it did put on a little bit of new growth, and you can see there's 2 little buds on here. One right here, and one up here. And I can't wait to see how these bloom. There's some blue fortune hyssop back here behind this wild and crazy rose glow barberry. Y'all, what is going on with this thing? I have some just wild branches going all over the place. I mean, that one there has got to be like 4 feet tall. Bizarre. I believe this daylily is called Endlessly Coral. And this is a white swan coneflower here. See, if you look at the individual spines in the cone, you kind of see like that symmetry. It's almost like geometrical. That is a very healthy cone. And rosette mites will mess that up. You'll be able to tell if you have them. More bee balm here in the back. Alliums getting ready to bloom in the front. I actually think they look really cute when they're in this phase. They're just kind of bent over like a little shepherd's hook. Kind of interesting texture. And over here, Firelight tidbits starting to bloom, finally. Just starting. More daisy mays. These were divisions from plants that I had behind me. The cat's pajama nepeta still blooming. You can see the pollinators are still going for that. Another group of firelight tidbits back here. And the other summer crushed hydrangea that I added over here just to have a little more symmetry on both sides of the garden here. All right, let's head to the backyard. What are you two doing? Rhea, what are you doing? You getting into trouble? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. My dogs are in a very playful mood right now, so let's not let that distract us. Okay, so this corner, oh jeez. There's quite a few new things in this corner. We originally had an azalea right here with some yarrow behind it and some swamp milkweed in the corner. And I decided to move the swamp milkweed and the yarrow to the ditch over there where they can just be tall and wild and crazy all to themselves. And the azalea, we had to chuck that because the dogs kept chewing on it and those are really toxic to dogs. So we replaced these plants with some other new things. We have here a moon frost Canadian hemlock, a beautiful like blue toned evergreen. It does get, I think it grows 3 to 6 inches a year, and at maturity will reach 6 feet tall and wide. So I do have that spaced in the bed so that when it does get that size, it can actually come out to the side of the sidewalk and all the way back to the deck if it wants to, and if I allow it to. I mean, you can easily size control these things. But a beautiful mounding habit, and the branches just have an ever so slightly weeping form to them. So I think it's going to be great here. And sorry for my dogs. The hydrangea that I have here is called a Hosta halo. I think we can see why halo is in the name, with just this ring of larger flowers on the skirt of that inflorescence. These are such an interesting plant because when they form, they just have kind of these little pearls in the center. And then the pearls open up into these little teeny tiny flowers. I don't know if you can even see them in here, but those little tiny flowers are actually what the pollinators go for. And this thing is just swarming with bees in the warmth of the afternoon. So it's kind of a fun little plant here. And I believe that will get 6 feet tall and wide. So she'll fill out that corner just nicely. Quite nicely. I did grab a couple more of the cherry truffle heuchera. They only had the 5 in stock, or I would have gotten more. I would love to put some more like right here behind the post of the hose reel. And then these little hostas here, I think they're called the Pilgrim hostas. They're tiny now, but I think maybe next year they'll probably get like 12 to 16 inches tall and wide. Just kind of fill up that space a little more. This is one of the hose reels that we got installed. Well, my husband. When I say we, Me and my husband put this in together. But this thing is such a game changer. I'm so happy to have a retractable hose reel. I have another stash of shade plants over here I'm not sure what to do with, but one I want to talk about is this one here. This is called an arborvitae fern. And it is neither a fern nor an arborvitae, but actually a prehistoric moss. And I think it's so cool. Texture is just amazing. Yeah, one of those statement pieces I wanted to have. Don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but I'll figure that out later. I did add some more liatris back here, and you can see more of the grow bags with the dahlias. These ones here were started in March, so they are much farther along. You can actually see this one here has the first bud or bloom getting ready here. And yeah, this one too, just starting to unfurl a little bit. Dahlias have been fun so far. Yeah. And I have a small grouping of coneflowers that have just burst to life, burst into bloom, and they're looking really good. I know that I have the sombrero adobe orange in here, which is the one back here with the green center. And then I believe this one over here is the Kismet intense orange. But this one, I don't remember. I don't remember planting this. I don't remember the name. It's kind of got like a lot more petals on it. Kind of has like these extra purple ones that are upturned in the center. Kind of unusual. I don't remember that one at all. And then I have a random purple one. And I have heard that when these hybrid ones reseed, if they ever do, they often revert back to their original species, which would make sense to have a random purple one here. Isn't that funny? Forever Goldie. Pugster Blue butterfly bush. Not yet opened yet, but it's coming. And same thing, another grouping of some red and orange coneflowers, and then a random purple one just emerges. It's kind of funny, huh? And the Marguerite daisy. So cute. And my butterfly bushes, these are the Miss Pearl butterfly bushes. Right now is the best time of year for them. This is before they get too large. Their blooms are the largest they're going to be. All the blooms that come after are just going to be smaller and smaller and smaller. And these actually get pretty large. That one way on the end there was over the railing and way out into the patio last year. I'm going to have to make sure I keep my pruners handy. I'm going to have to keep these babies in check. But they are adored by all the pollinators. I did decide to just tuck in a couple annuals through here. So we have the Super Tunia Vista bubblegum, and then this Calibrachoa called Sunny Side Up or Over Easy. Oh, look at what the dogs did. Anyway, they kind of look like a fried egg, right? Pretty cute. Pretty cute. And then I did get my patio planters potted up. I can't take credit for designing these. These came pre-arranged in like a pre-made container. But I believe this is the Super Tunia Vista bubblegum, fuchsia, and silverberry with a Dracaena spike in the center. So I got 4 of those for each of the 4 patio containers. You can see another one at the top of the stairs here. Hey, Bodie. The other one up there. And those actually came in some really cute containers. These ones right here. They kind of look like they're like a metal bucket, but they're actually plastic. And I couldn't just throw them away, so I ran back to the store and got something else to put in them. These are some more of the frozen margarita hostas and the New Guinea impatiens. So filled each of those up, and they're just lining the walkway on this side. And the pond garden. Marigolds are looking a little bit bigger, but still no blooms. And the black truffle lobelia, definitely getting bigger, and I can even see just the beginning of the buds forming here. All of my hostas are blooming. Well, almost all of them are blooming. The bees certainly love these. So I leave them up for the bees. I know a lot of people cut the stalks back. I'm not actually sure why, but I leave mine up until the flowers fall out, and then I'll come in and clip them back so that we can just enjoy the foliage. This is the halcyon here, and behind that is the rainbow's end. Some in substance way back there. There's a coast to coast. Wrinkle in time with that variegated ruffly edge there. There's another frozen margarita. Yeah, everything's looking real good here. And those ones, I'm not positive the name. Someone mentioned they might be the Empress Wu, but gosh, I don't know. Unknown variety. That kind of Chloe grass over there. Love that texture. Some of our aquatic plants are, well, starting to bloom. I don't know the name of this. I think it's pickerel or something with a P. Let me swing around this side. You can see the astilbes blooming in here. Some of them have already faded out, but the pink ones are still going for it. And then this guy is another new hydrangea that I got probably in the last 3 weeks. It's called Wedding Gown, and it has each of the flowers in the inflorescence is a double, which just makes it extra fun and frilly. Pure white, really dark green foliage. I think I might actually replace the hydrangeas at the front door with these ones because, well, these ones are winning my heart. And here's my favorite, Summer Crush hydrangea. I talk about in every video. I know, she's just so stunning to me. Beautiful blue. Look at all of those flowers. She is just so stunning. And let's check in with the obedience plants. Some of them have started to bloom. And now we just gotta wait and see if they will stand tall or flop like they have in the past. And then back there is the ruby spider, daylilies, still probably a couple weeks away from blooming. But looking forward to seeing her. And gosh, I think that's it. That's it for the tour. I hope the weather is nice and pleasant and Everyone enjoys themselves. Let's just say Bodhi. Should we go inside? All right, well, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend and enjoying all the beautiful flowers in your garden.